Just like Duralast brakes.
They stop anything!
Hey, if you use anything else, you should stop. Chuck Liddell. And I stop things. People. Problems. Anything that moves. I'm MMA champ, Chuck Liddell. I hit stuff. Hard. Real hard. So I know tough. The Duralast is tough. It can take the cold. And the heat. Trust me, this battery can beat a pure battery.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, this morning, Bitcoin actually made an attempt to break out of this resistance right here. We did get rejected, and the thing that is a little bit scary to a lot of people right now is you could see that it does sort of look like we're putting in this triangle formation, right? You could argue it's even potentially a descending triangle on the daily, which we do know, arguably, is often bearish for the Bitcoin price. Now, before you freak out about whether or not Bitcoin is going to have a terrible beginning to the year, we need to talk about something that is happening right now that is something that arguably could be the first time that we've ever seen happen for Bitcoin. And if this does happen, it could signal something incredible for the markets. But we need to talk about whether or not this is actually good or bad for Bitcoin. And while Bitcoin does continue to fall, we notice that the S&P today actually wicked up to put in yet another all-time high. So why is Bitcoin struggling to keep up with traditional stocks? Does this mean that it's over? Should we be concerned? Well, in today's video, I do want to talk about a shift happening right now in Bitcoin. In yesterday's video, we spoke about a lot of different scenarios for the altcoins. In today's video, I want to talk about Bitcoin, how it relates to the altcoins, what we can expect this year, and something that absolutely must happen by the end of this month. And yes, guys, the clock is ticking, because if this does not happen by February 1st, we could be in some serious trouble for Bitcoin. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you're not subscribed, definitely consider it. And before we get into the charts today, I just want to remind you guys that today is the last day for Costa, the IEO over on Bybit. Now, I know I spoke about this yesterday. Reason I'm bringing it up is because at the time I'm making this video, there's about 11 hours left. So if you are interested, definitely check that out, guys. Remember, I do have links below in the description. If you want to sign up, you can get over $8,000 in bonuses using the links below. And also for everyone that, says they have difficulty, I'm not going to say what to do, but I don't know. I heard that some people use VPNs, but you didn't hear that from me. I am anticipating this to do quite well on the launch. It's only going to have a $1.5 million market cap at launch. I think this could do an easy 10 to 20x. Just saying, not financial advice. Do what you want. If you're totally uninterested in that, well, we're going to talk about Bitcoin right now. So as you guys can see right here, Bitcoin is obviously the main concern over everything else right now. We can see that Bitcoin is in fact struggling to break above this resistance right here. And the critical point of this is the fact that it was the support, now flipped resistance. We did have a little bit of a Bart Simpson fake out right here. We did get stomped out at my resistance level that I had spoke about, where I did say to be careful. But the thing that is scaring a lot of people is that, this looks like it's forming a bit of a descending triangle, and a descending triangle is often a bearish price structure, but also the fact that we're having this after, the 30% correction. Could this mean lower lows for Bitcoin? Well, I did say if we break to the downside, we are looking at around 41,892, but I'm not going to get too much into that right now, because a lot of people are saying, well, stocks are hitting all-time highs. Why did we see Bitcoin not end the year the same way that the S&P, for example, did? Well, one of the biggest reasons is that we know that there was a lot of pressure from Chinese investors. Huobi is the biggest exchange over in Asia right now, and you could see that they actually, unfortunately, had to get rid of a lot of their users. They essentially said that they will retire existing China user accounts by basically midnight on December 31st. And what this did was it forced a lot of these Asian investors to have to essentially panic sell, or at least withdraw their funds. A lot of them panicked. They didn't know what to do. Maybe they went into stable coins, right? So this is why we had a lot of selling pressure toward the end of the year. But we have something critical right now, guys, and this is why I'm telling you, Bitcoin must do this by the end of this month. If we do not do this by the end of this month, then yes, my friends, we are looking for a slightly longer, potentially consolidated, lower level Bitcoin into the start of the year. And this is the fact that we do have a beautiful rising not rising, we have an ascending triangle, right? The opposite of what we're seeing on the lower time frame. So on the lower time frame, we're actually seeing this descending triangle, right? Where it looks like we want to break to the downside. But if we actually look at what's happening over on the monthly, what we have is an ascending triangle. And it has been holding up quite well. You know, you can see right here, we did wick below it. We bounced above it. We bounced above it again. But you can see right here, guys, as we have opened right here on January, we really need to maintain inside of this triangle. This would put the lowest level of Bitcoin to close this month out. Now, I'm not saying we couldn't wick below it. You can see, obviously, we have wicks to the upside, wicks to the downside, but we need to close this month around $44,500. If Bitcoin cannot close this month above this, well, then this would break this structure. As you can see, even though we have fallen out of it, we still have bounced back into it every single time. And if Bitcoin was to, potentially put in some kind of a candle, close somewhere down here, or even just out of the region, that could be very bad short term for Bitcoin. In fact, what it could signal is that, and let me switch this to a easier chart. We could look at the weekly right here. What would happen is, then we would end up putting in that giant M shape. Right here, we have a little bit of difficulty. We fall out and we would end up coming back here. Now, I haven't put $30,000 out of the cards just yet for Bitcoin. I still consider this region that we've been bouncing around all last year to be very, very good for Bitcoin. We are building that foundation long term, guys. I mean, 2 years out, 3 years out, next bull run, bear run, the bear run. No, it would be very amazing for Bitcoin. Like this is phenomenal. Like we are living through massive, massive accumulation, massive structure being built. The foundation for the building is being laid right now, but short term, for the bulls, we do have to close above these levels, guys. We do have to close above that significant level, or else Bitcoin is going to fall a lot lower. Now, I have heard a lot of people, I've heard this time and time again, Bitcoin is in a bubble. It's this huge bubble. Now, this is actually a snapshot from what happened when Bitcoin hit 20,000 and it fell all the way down. And you could see they were comparing Bitcoin to the Mississippi bubble, the tech bubble, the tulip mania from 1634 to 1637, okay? And yeah, obviously this looks pretty bad, but in hindsight, once we zoomed out and we did have more years after this, look at what happened. So this is this right here. This red line, this big red up and down is this right here. This looked pretty bad, guys. This looked like it was the end for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin even tried to get higher and fell down after that. But guys, once we start to zoom out and we have a look at where Bitcoin is today, I mean, look at this. It just looks like a little blip now, right? I mean, the idea of going down to these levels is crazy, which, by the way, just want to point out, guys, if we do go back to this level, if I put my fib retracements back on here and we have a look, you can clearly see that at no point in Bitcoin's history did Bitcoin ever go below the previous high in the next cycle, okay? Which is why people calling for this $10,000. I saw a YouTuber the other day who has a decent amount of followers, not going to call anybody out, calling for a $10,000 Bitcoin. My friends, that is not going to happen. How can I say that with certainty? Well, I guess you can never say anything with certainty, but you could see historically right here that Bitcoin has never fallen below any of the previous highs. And if we actually have a look at where we're bouncing between right now, you could see we are bouncing between the 1.618, which historically has signaled the bottom for Bitcoin, which is sitting at around 29,000, let's just say $30,000, which is why I don't think we're going to go below 30,000. And we have been trying to break above the 3.618. Now, in every single Bitcoin cycle, we have always gone to the 4.23, and we have always broken above it, and this was always before the end of the bull run was over. That level is sitting at around $73,708. Now, unfortunately, no, we didn't get the $100,000 Bitcoin last year. I said there was a potential for a $75,000 Bitcoin. I was wrong. We didn't get that either. But having a look at this still shows us that at minimally a $75,000 Bitcoin is still in the cards, because every single time we have breaking above the 4.236, and not to mention that once we break through it, we usually have an absolute skyrocket, which is why I still said that I think that Bitcoin could go to $190,000 before something like this, and then they start calling it a bubble again, and then we just blast off. And even from top right here, to where we are right now, Bitcoin's up 132%, and we were up 243% at the top. So to say that Bitcoin isn't really performing quite well, still, guys, compared to gold, compared to the S&P, compared to traditional investment vehicles, no, Bitcoin still is the best alternative for most of these investors. In fact, like Bit Harrington broke down a very interesting thing, even though I don't consider the 4-year cycle to be as significant. If you just take a snapshot of the Bitcoin price average at around every single halving, you're noticing a pattern. Bitcoin tends to do roughly a 10x each time. 500 at the first halving, 5,000 at the second halving, and 50,000 at the third halving. So this would say that by the next time Bitcoin is to have its halving, not to say that the inflation or the distribution matters as much, but having a look at the chart logarithmically, this could put Bitcoin at around $500,000 average price by the time of the next halving for Bitcoin. So if you guys can just essentially hold Bitcoin, for a few more years, I think it is absolutely going to pay off. Now, the one thing that we did point out in yesterday's video is that Ethereum had it's putting in a triangle, like inside of a triangle, right? And it does look like we're looking to break out above the 0.084. Now, having a look at Bitcoin, something that has never ever happened before for Bitcoin would be losing dominance sitting below 35.4%. Now, this is over on market cap Bitcoin dominance. There were a few different places where they said that it was around 33%. Keep in mind, there are so many coins that come out all the time, constantly diluting the Bitcoin market cap. How much emphasis and stress should we continue to put on the Bitcoin dominance? I don't know. Let me know. Do you think Bitcoin dominance doesn't matter anymore? Because think about it, the more coins that keep coming out, the more diluted the overall crypto cap is going to become in relationship to Bitcoin. But the one thing I can tell you right now is we are sitting at around 39.41%, which only offers about a 10% drop more from where we are right now before hitting the absolute lowest level of all time for the Bitcoin market dominance. So yeah, that could definitely signal that a lot of investors are moving into these smaller cryptos or cryptos that are not Bitcoin, right? Like Ethereum or even these lower cap coins. Now, I just want to give a shout out to Daniel over at High Conviction. He does say, unfortunately, the setup short term doesn't look great. Here are his reasons why. Potential rate hike in March, not yet priced in, and no more support from stimulus checks, right? The stimulus checks were kind of that thing. We were seeing exact deposits, right, of the exact amounts of the stimulus checks, purchases, $1,200 check, $1,200 purchases on Coinbase skyrocketing. People were saying, screw this, I don't want to hold the dollar, I want to hold something else. We also have potential regulation headlines. Gonna be honest with you guys, we probably are gonna see some form of regulation in 2022, but I think there's a lot bigger things that these guys are worried about right now. I don't think in 2022, this year, we're going to see like massive ultimate crypto regulation. Here is the absolute pamphlet book on how to deal and handle with crypto. So I'm not that worried about it. Sure, we're going to see some things come out. He says key KPIs stagnating across many protocols, lack of a major catalyst right now, and upward momentum has been exhausted. But that being said, upward momentum being exhausted, I'm not too sure about that. I mean, yeah, if you're talking about going from around a $1.7 trillion market cap down here to about a 1.3, yeah, that was a 20% decrease in the markets overall. However, this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, and you can see that it is in fact holding this legacy trend right here. And I told you guys, if we actually break above this zone right here, had a little bit of a fake out back here around the end of December, but if we have a legit breakout and it holds above it, then I do think we are going to have that alt season that everyone's been talking about. So keep your eyes on the 1.46 trillion for all of the caps. Now, getting back to Daniel, he does say, however, there are some positive things to look at. We had VCs pouring a record $30 billion into crypto this year, and the US crypto job postings have been up almost 10x. Web 3.0 is inevitable at this point. Now, obviously, if you don't know what this means, so we had the original web, right? What was that? It was kind of like very closed. It was AOL. You could only do certain things. Remember, you couldn't even, there was no Google. You had to actually put keywords in. Then we had Web 2. Web 2, we had Google. We were able to publish our own things, interact. We had the rise of social media. And now Web 3.0 is essentially what we are trying to build with this decentralized world, the metaverse, NFTs, having your own ownership, right, in those assets. He says the dot-com bubble took 2 to 3 years post-rise of Amazon to go parabolic, and I think something similar will happen here for crypto. And if we actually have a look at where we could potentially be in this phase, you could see that essentially we're only really right here in the frenzy stage, but we're sort of in the mid to early frenzy stage. So obviously you have Bitcoin, that's where no one's really getting involved. This is called the eruption stage, money and smart contracts. In 2015, Ethereum launches. 2017, crypto market hit 100 billion. Now he does say that he does anticipate there to be a crash at some point. This is where we're dealing with DeFi, NFTs, and Web3. This is sort of the next iteration of the evolution of blockchain, but he does say any near-term correction at this point is just volatility and unlikely to derail us from the impending S-curve. And you can see right here, generally after those crashes, remember, Amazon crashed over 90%. Amazon. And look at where it is today. So after you do have that bubble, right? They said we already had a bubble, but we didn't in 2017 because we're clearly 3 times higher. Well, not 3 times. We're like a little over double. We were over 3 times higher. We clearly have had a bit of a correction in Bitcoin. But at the end, you could see this is where you have the synergy and the consolidation, which is the deployment phase, which is where you have the paradigm shattering applications. And this is where finally the full idea comes to fruition, right? This is why I'm still extremely bullish on this space, and I think that regardless of what Bitcoin does this year, we're looking at a massively optimistic year. Now, obviously, Ethereum, this is the Ethereum chart. Ethereum is still holding up quite well. It's towards the top end of this falling wedge. We have seen Ethereum break out 2 times previously from these falling wedges. We had a falling wedge here, broke out, falling wedge here, broke out, and we're having another falling wedge right here. And honestly, if Ethereum can get above this level, and Ethereum really only has, this area right here where we do have these 3 resistances all sort of coinciding with each other. If Ethereum can break above around $3,942, then we could potentially see that rally that we're looking for. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to what is happening right here. Also keep in mind the crypto cap total over 1.46 for the altcoins would be very, very bullish, as well as the fact that we are needing Bitcoin to maintain above this level. Now, if Bitcoin does fall out of this level, then yeah, it could be a great opportunity to accumulate Bitcoin. Maybe altcoins start to go crazy. But overall, guys, right now we are at a critical level for Bitcoin, but the altcoins and the altcoin space and the Web3 space and the future of blockchain space and NFTs and multiverse and DeFi, although you may call it a bubble, I don't believe the bubble has burst. I believe we're having little mini bubbles, right? Where, maybe we're not going to be paying $1 million for a picture of an ape, right? But it's not going anywhere. And also, you can see that it's not only me that feels this way. We had this come out. This was an interview over on Forecast. This was Rachel Mayer. She's the chief of product at global fintech company Circle. And here's a few things she had to say. So her first prediction for 2022 says that we will see more and more institutional and corporates continuing to pile into the crypto markets. You'll start to see more of those forward learning and even mainstream companies continuing to put digital assets on their balance sheet, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets, including stable coins as well. And finally, this is what she says about NFTs specifically, which I do consider to be a part of this sort of Web3 paradigm shift. She says, quote, "The use cases for NFTs will continue to explode. While we saw digital collectibles and art being the main use for companies in 2021, in 2022, we will see a ton more use cases for NFTs. We will see retailers like GameStop or even a 7-Eleven potentially use NFTs to incentivize real-life transactions, leveraging creators to drive traffic to their storefronts. For example, you could think of an Adidas or a Yeezy NFT that would unlock purchases at, say, a Gap store, or maybe NFTs that could even unlock exclusive features in Teslas, in cars, right? It's pretty limitless, right? We saw Samsung getting on board. We saw Square Enix getting on board. She says brands and creators will basically just be able to reinforce their loyalty of their community behavior in terms of rewarding NFTs, distributing content, making a purchase. And here's the kicker. She says everything will be an NFT next year. Meaning this year. I don't know about everything is going to be an NFT in 2022, but I do believe that NFTs are going to play a major, major role. I do believe that the metaverse is going to be a thing. Decentralized finance is already happening right now. And yeah, guys, I do believe, like I said in my previous video, that Bitcoin will remain ultimately as the store of value, as the gold 2.0, and a lot of these other applications, whether it be Ethereum, smart contract platforms, and games, will all be a part of that Web 3.0. And you can kind of look at it as gold compared to stocks, right? Gold doesn't compete with Apple. Gold doesn't compete with Google. Gold doesn't compete with Tesla, right? Because they're just not the same thing. The same way that Bitcoin does not compete with Ethereum. They're totally different things. This is why I'm not worried about the long-term growth of Bitcoin, but as I have been saying, massive opportunities in 2022. Stick around, get subscribed, guys. We have a lot of exciting content to bring you, and we are going to be finding these gems. And as I did say, guys, don't forget the Costa. Now it's only 10 hours, so if you are interested, get on over to Bybit. And if you are looking to trade on Bybit, they do have a spot exchange as well. It's not just for leverage. You can trade tons of altcoins over there as well. And make sure that if you are looking to trade using leverage, if you're a beginner, I highly recommend that you check out my tutorials. I go through A to Z, beginner to expert, so you can trade profitably and responsibly. And here we are right here. Check those out. And until next time, stay crypto. Make sure you use the links below if you do want those bonuses, guys. If not, then it's up to you. Do whatever you want. But anyway, until next time, guys, my name is K-Dub. This is Crypto Zombie. Stay crypto. And of course, peace out.